Welcome to Life on Maui. I'm your host, Stephen Freed. Our guest for today is Ranan Shahar, and he does a very specific and very wonderful type of body work called Atlas Evolution. He has been coming to the islands of Hawaii for many years now, and he originally learned a technique that he was the first to bring to the USA. It was called Atlas Profilax, and that was in Switzerland. So, welcome to the show, Ranan.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah. So, tell me a little bit of the history of both you coming to the Hawaiian Islands, and also tell me the history of how you came to the Atlas Profilax in Switzerland.
Well, about 14 or 15 years ago, a good friend of mine from Switzerland introduced me to this sweet method that I never heard about it before. And actually, he offered to give me a treatment because he knew that I'm an acupuncturist. At the time, I had the clinic in Los Angeles.
I didn't know that. You were an acupuncturist.
Yeah, I'm an acupuncturist. That's my profession. And he thought about it would be interesting for me to make this technique available in the California, in the US. So I flew all the way to England, to Birmingham, from all places. Special event there that I was attending. And flying from LA to London, and then taking the train from London to Birmingham, you can imagine that I was pretty beat, jet-lagged and tired and all of that. And once I arrived into Birmingham and met my friend, I think it was almost midnight, and I was exhausted. And because of the schedule and the time, he said, well, let's do it, we got to do it tonight. I said, okay, I'm up.
And when you say got to do it tonight, you mean he was going to teach you?
No, not teach me, treat me.
Oh, treat you.
Before you get into any teachings, you have to experience it on yourself.
Agreed. And I just had a treatment yesterday, so I'm going to talk about that too. Wonderful treatment.
So I said, yes, okay, I'll have the treatment now. So he gave me the Swiss treatment, which is really, it's a good treatment, but it is very short. In terms of hands-on, it's about 10 minutes, maximum 15 minutes, not more than that.
And a little later on in the interview, we're going to talk about how this has evolved over the years for Ranan to a much lengthier session that's much more comprehensive.
Yes. So I was open. I received the short treatment. And the one thing that I noticed right away, immediately after the treatment, I was right awake, right there and then. There was no jet lag. I was fully in my body and awake. I was incredible. And the other thing I noticed, it was that my range of motion from side to side and up and down increased dramatically. And the third thing that I noticed is that my vision became so much better, because I was just at the time starting to use, I always had a good eyesight all my life, but at the time I was starting to, when I read, it wasn't.
You needed reading glasses.
I needed reading glasses, and I started actually to use reading glasses. And after the treatment, the colors, everything was so vibrant, and I saw better. And I dropped my reading glasses, and until today I don't use any reading glasses.
Wow.
So that was...
That's a very powerful initial treatment. And your treatment has evolved.
Yeah.
And I had a treatment with you yesterday, which I'll elaborate on some more, but I could immediately feel it expanded my posture. I felt, more in my body. I slept well. And like we alluded to, the Swiss treatment is brief. And now the treatment that you're doing is much more thorough, much more. You spend a lot of time, 2.5 hours sometimes. So there's a cave story from Kauai that really points to something that happened. And this man is not, airy-fairy at all. So when you listen to this story, take it to heart. This is quite a powerful story. Tell a cave story from Kauai.
Before I tell the cave story, I just want to the evolution, how it happened, is that I was so I was the first one to bring this technique to this country.
Yes.
And started to treat a lot of people, and of course a lot of people got very good results. But being true to my profession, to my background in Oriental medicine, I always look to improve the results that the patient, the people that receive the treatment get.
Yes.
And also I think my way of thinking is in terms of Oriental medicine, the energy pathways, meridians, the flow of energy in the meridians,
yes,
and all of that. And the theory behind the Swiss technique is that once you align the Atlas, which is the top cervical vertebra, the C1, then it aligns the whole body.
Right.
But in Oriental medicine, the Chinese or the Oriental people look at it different. The balance of the body starts from the sacrum and up. And so I was from the beginning thinking about it. Who is right? Those who say that it starts from the top to the bottom, or the Chinese that say from the bottom and up? So I ponder about it, and then it just dawned on me, and that's part we're getting to the cave story.
Yes.
That that if I treat both ends of the spinal column, the top and the bottom, which is the tailbone and the sacrum, then it's a win-win situation for the receiver.
Yes.
They will have much better results.
Yes.
So at the beginning I was doing this Atlas Profilax the way I went to Switzerland, by the way, and I took their seminar and started doing treatments in their technique. But it was fairly soon after, well, I treated a lot of people, but I think it was a couple of years later, or 1 or 2 years later, I don't remember exactly, but
yeah.
I was coming a lot to the island, but especially for some reason in Kauai, the response was huge to my treatment. And so one day, one of my patients that had received the treatment, he suggested, and we became friends, by the way, and my new friend suggested, I want to take you to this sacred cave in Kauai. Now, this cave is not a touristic spot, so most people don't know about it. And I'm not going to say where it is because...
No, better to keep it private. It's a sacred spot.
It's a sacred spot. And he told me, he took me, it's kind of not easy to get to it, dirt roads and all that. And he said, when he told me, when you go in by yourself and without a flashlight, without a candle, just go in where spirit leads you. And when you find a comfortable place that you feel is right, just sit, be quiet, and see what happens. So
And you did all that, and you were saying that fortunately, even crawling on your hands and your knees, the sand was soft.
Yes, it's not too far from the beach, so it was
Yeah.
not too rocky. And in the beginning I was walking, but then it got smaller and smaller. I couldn't walk anymore, so I started crawling. And I crawled. I wasn't even afraid that I'm not going to find the exit because it was so dark, pitch
Yeah.
dark. But it felt good. But I was crawling and crawling, right, left. I didn't know where I'm going. And then finally, I found a spot where I felt comfortable to sit.
And you sat and you meditated.
Yes, I sat and I meditated for some time. I lost all sense of time. I don't know how long time it was, but after some time, which I was really quiet and tuning inside and not thinking so much, I hear this voice talking to me. And this voice was very authoritative and at the same time very compassionate, very gentle, very loving.
And again, I want to say this is not an airy-fairy guy. I know him. So this is unusual.
It is. This is the first experience of this kind
Yeah.
that ever happened to me. I never experienced anything like that.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for it. My friend did not say that this is what's going to happen. He
Right.
just told me go in and see what happens. So I was actually surprised,
Yeah.
very surprised, because I'm not used to this. And okay, so the voice is talking and telling me how to alter, how to change the treatment that I was doing back then, the Swiss method, to a more, how would you say?
Comprehensive.
Comprehensive, that's the word. More comprehensive.
More thorough.
More thorough treatment, exactly. And was explaining me in details, yeah,
Wow.
how to do it, really in details. And not only that, I could even ask questions,
Wow.
which I did, to clarify some things. And it was absolutely amazing. I was surprised. I wasn't prepared for that.
I had one experience like that in my life, which I won't go into now, but it reinforces for me the validity that something like this can happen.
Yeah. So it was quite. I was blown away. To the point that now, after all this, that happened about 10 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago. I don't remember exactly, to be honest. But after all these years, we are in Maui, and I'm preparing for my trip to Kauai. Tomorrow I'm going to Kauai, and I'm looking forward for another visit to this cave. Do not forget this experience all these years. And now I feel it's time to go again and see what happens.
Yeah. And I guess in a situation like that, you can't really have expectations.
Right.
That happened before. Maybe it'll happen now, maybe it won't. But you feel like it's a time for maybe opening up to even more refinement.
Yes.
And I want to make a point here to say that there's an integrity with you and a generosity of spirit, because the 15-minute Swiss adjustment, I'm not going to say the exact amounts, but had a certain price on it, 15 minutes. So now you're spending 2.5 hours for not that much more, because you feel how important it is for the integrity of your work to offer that.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
I took the thing because I see also that people have much, really most people have an incredible experience. And even the patient I had today, this morning actually, she had the Swiss method a couple of years ago, and she didn't feel much. But today she said, wow, this is such a difference, you know.
Yeah.
I really, I really feel the difference. So not to put that the Swiss method down at all, because
no.
I learned something very important from them, and I
Yes.
give them the credit for that. But that was just the beginning. There is so much more to this, which I've worked on, discovered all these years, and started with this interaction or revelation, or however you want to call it, that I
Sure.
had in the cave, that opened my eyes and my my insight to really make it better and better and better.
And I want to say, I've had many bodywork experiences. I was a body worker myself in Philadelphia for 10 years. I've had Rolfing, I've had many, many different kinds. And this treatment, I can feel very palpably that there is a deep correction. You know, I've always had postural issues. Not that I don't need to be cognizant, as we all do on a day-to-day basis, to change an old habit. But I feel like this is the ground that something very good can grow, and I can feel more ease in my posture, which is a big deal.
And you grew up 1.5 inches.
Taller. This is amazing. He measured me at the beginning and at the end, and I was 1.5 inches taller. Amazing. So I want to, there's a couple other things I want to mention, because I know you're Israeli, and one thing that you really are cognizant of is this ancient Hawaiian Hebrew connection. And I'd love to hear you elaborate on that. There's some words that are very similar. Aloha and Elohim, Kohan and Kahuna, and both very much accentuating how important the breath is. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure, I'd love to. Actually, my friend Michael that took me to the cave, he did a lot of research about what you're talking, and I never thought about it. That in Hawaiian you say aloha, which means I see the
breath in you.
The breath in you,
yeah.
Right? And in Hebrew, the word, one of the names of God is Eloha. So
wow.
in plural we say Elohim,
wow.
which this word is used more frequently. That I don't know why. That's another story, because Elohim is plural, but yet we have one God. But that's another story for another time.
Right.
But if you take the Elohim and make it single to one God, it is Eloha. How similar, And then what you mentioned, Kohen in Hebrew, the Kohanim used to be the one that did the work in the holy work in the temple. We used to have the temple.
Yes.
And the Kahuna is similar in the Hawaiian tradition.
Yes.
Yeah. And
I love that. I love that two ancient cultures have parallels like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you talk about it, one of the theories, stories, who knows, says that there were 10 lost tribes that nobody really knows what happened to them and where they went. And so one story or theory is that some of them ended up here in the long time. We're talking long time.
Thousands
ago.
of years ago.
Yeah. Ended up here in the islands and so forth. This thing is that what you talk in the Hebrew tradition, in the Hebrew letters, we write in short for God, we write the letter He or H, Ha, and the Ha, the breath, is present in Hawaii, of course, everywhere, because the ancient Hawaiians knew about the importance of the breath. That the breath really is everything.
Hawaii, aloha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ha. And they call the white people that came here howlies, the one that are not aware, they are breathing, but they are not conscious of the breath. I think the ancient Hebrews knew about the importance the breath is really God keeping us alive or breathing through us. So we
Yes.
have, you know, the divine, however you want to call it.
It's inextricably connected with the divine, the breath in us and the divine.
Exactly.
Inextricably.
Exactly. So it's very possible that the ancient Hebrews knew were aware about the breath. Maybe not so much today,
Yeah.
but they still stay. Why hey? Why the lecture? Why hey is for the name of God until now. Every time you look at the writings, and you know you use
Yes.
the hey. And there are, I won't talk too much about it in this interview, but there's so much more actually. And my friend has much more research and information than I have. Actually, I'm going to meet him now when I go in
Wonderful.
Kauai to learn more about that.
Let me ask you, before we go any further, what's the best way for people to reach you? I know info@atlasevolution.com.
Is my email? Is the email?
info@atlasevolution.com. And any other way to reach you?
Yeah, sure.
I wouldn't give a phone number necessarily.
Well, if you don't give
Website?
a website, yeah. www.atlasevolution.com.
atlasevolution.com.
And to be honest, my website is due for an upgrade.
Right. But it
It
is
was
a way
done
that people can
Flash.
it's a way that people can access you.
But what I'm saying is, because of that, it's right now until I finish the upgrade. It's better to view my website from a computer rather than a mobile device. It's not going to come much on a phone
Gotcha.
or tablet, but on the computer you will see it. So now I'm using, until we fix this website, I have a Facebook page by the same name, Atlas Evolution on Facebook. And there are more recent testimonials, interviews, my schedule. There's more stuff, a lot of testimonials, videotape testimonials.
Wonderful.
On that page.
On Facebook.
On Facebook page, Atlas Evolution.
Atlas Evolution.
On Facebook. That will be a better place to, and that you can view, of course, from a mobile device to learn more and see what other people are saying about that rather than what I'm saying about it.
That's wonderful. And before we complete this interview, I don't want it to go unmentioned that you and I both have the same teacher, Prem Rawat. And he has been someone who has helped us, guided us, inspired us over most of our life, right?
Yeah, you and me, I think too, from a very young age, so
Yes.
most of my life I started, and still have the same teacher, and because the thirst that I have was fulfilled, and is still fulfilled.
Absolutely.
And since we were talking about the breath, Prem actually made me aware how important and divine is my breath.
Yes.
And that until today, that keeps me keeps me feeling peace
Yes.
within me, because at any time when there is any destruction, when there is any stress, when there is any all kind of crazy stuff can happen, but inside I still have the breath. Just take a split of a second to remember that, and when you are in your breath, you feel grateful, and when you feel grateful, you feel joy, and you feel peace, and you feel love, and you feel the aloha, and you feel all these good things. So in that spirit, my treatment also helps people to awaken to the divine within. So now when I give treatments, it's also, apart from the physical treatment, in the end I also since my background is in Chinese medicine, as I said, and I studied medical Qigong, I, I, I do the medical Qigong, which is moving the energy in the body in such a way that it balances all the meridians and all the organs and all the chakras and everything. So it brings a very sweet end to a physical treatment by aligning everything. And really it is about connecting one with their own self, because here's the heart and here's the crown. And where the blockage that most people have is right here in the throat chakra or throat center, where the Atlas is. When it's tweaked, like most people have it, it blocks a good communication or pathway between the heart and the brain. And so most people are very good in expressing their ideas, their thoughts and all of that. But how many of us can really express from the heart, express from the heart? So that connection, when we open that connection, it makes it possible for a person to be much more in the heart and communicate from the heart and be in the heart. Because if somebody is like this, like most people are, it closes the heart center. But when you become like this, and the treatment surely help you to become straight, it opens your heart. And when you open your heart, you feel better, you feel happy, you feel peace, all these good things. So I'm very passionate about that part, that it is a physical treatment, and it is aligning everything, and it is very effective for any kind of pain that one has, whether it's a neck pain, or back pain, or shoulder pain, or hip pain, headaches, and on and on. It's very good for these things, but it is much more than relieving the physical pain and feeling really that connection within.
That's a perfect note to end it on. That's it. To feel that connection within.
Yeah. And we say the issues are in the tissues. So we store so many issues in our tissues, whether it's here or there, and people get tight. And so many times I hear, I take all my stress here or here, What is stress? It's you decided, your perception, it's something is stressful. And then it becomes so hard. So when we unwind those tight tissues, it allows the issues to come out. Of course, if you are willing to let go, one has to have the desire or the intention to let go of all these issues. We want these issues. We want to be free, right?
We want to be free.
We want to be light beings. We don't want to carry all this stuff. And often we carry so much stuff.
Absolutely.
I can go on and on.
I know, it's beautiful, very passionate. And just, we have been talking about, over many years, we often see each other in Australia at events of Prem Rawat.
Yes.
And we've been talking about me getting a treatment with him, doing a Life on Maui interview with him. So this is, maybe after many years, we finally are doing it.
Yes.
So I really want to thank you. Thank you for making this available for me and making it available for anyone who's watching.
And I wanted to thank you too for making this happen. And I just want to end with that. I feel, because of the story that you heard earlier, I feel such a connection to all the islands, to the Hawaiian Islands. I feel I don't know how to explain it, some kind of a home here, or some kind of a deep connection, more than, I travel, by the way, I travel a lot all over the world, but not many places I feel what I feel here. So I'm saying this because I'm looking forward to come again and again and again to to the islands and provide my service and enjoy the beauty and the spirit and the people of these islands.
What a perfect note to end on. So thank you for joining us for this episode of Life on Maui. And I hope you come back for the next episode. And until then, aloha.
Aloha.
Call me crazy, but I'm never giving up my dreams. No